Voy a empezar. Sí. Ok, ya se pueden hacer silencio. Ok, voy yo. Nombre. Hello, hi, good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We have a very special presentation. We have been working for the last 5 months in this amazing presentation that we are bringing you today. The last time when we tried to do this, it was right on March 17th back in Manta, where we have almost 70 attendees that they already confirmed, but you know, everything happened with the pandemic, and well, things, and this is what, I mean, we are right now with an amazing crew and with our amazing team at EcuaAssist. So today, as we promised, we're going to be speaking about the 4 documents that all expats needs in Ecuador. So we're going to make a brief presentation today. So we're going to start. We have received so many questions. Like, we have received questions about, do I need a will? I mean, is it necessary to have a medical POA, or whether it would happen with my remains if something happens. So we're here to clarify all that. So we have prepared this amazing presentation, and so we're going to start with please, can you continue? Okay. So we have the 4 documents every expat needs. Okay, all right. So can you please go to the next one? Okay, so as I was saying, so we have today the seminar overview. So as I was explaining before, what we're going to do in a medical emergency if something happens today. Do I need a will? What if, God forbid, something happens to you? Do you have the documents, your end-of-life documents in order? So we're going to be answering all the questions today. I mean, if you have any questions, just please type on the chat below and let us know what questions you have. So please, we're going to continue. Okay, so first one, we're going to start with wills. Wills, according to the article 1066.4, wills in Ecuador, they are very specific. As you probably have heard, we have certain rules. In Ecuador, we have the way how you can write a will. So what is this? And I have this is a very common question among my clients, because sometimes our clients, they want to say, okay, well, I want to leave my assets to, I don't know, someone else, my friend or this other person. So Ecuador, it is very strict about what wills it is about and how they have to be written. So if you have a will that it was written overseas, like for example, a will was granted abroad. So those they will have to follow the rules, they will have to follow the procedure of what the Ecuadorian law says. This is very simple. As I was explaining before, in Ecuador, we have like first will go your kids, second will go your parents, but I'm going to explain that later on. So, okay, the most considered rules about wills in Ecuador, it is like, who are your beneficiaries? Who are your, what assets can you split, and what the percentages of those assets can you split? So those most considered rules, it is something that if you have a will that it was written abroad and it is not according to what we're going to explain today, though that will not be valid here in Ecuador. So first, we always explain this. Who goes as first beneficiaries on wills here in Ecuador? First, according to the law, we have your kids, your children. We have your children as first beneficiaries. And why is this? The reason of this particular chapter of the law, it is because, as you probably have noticed, Ecuador is a family-centered society where the assets of the family, they have to last within the family. So the law what tries to do, it is to avoid that whoever is making the economical decisions in the family to change the ownership of the assets, of the family assets, to any other person. So that's the main reason your children will be the first beneficiaries of your assets. Second, we have the parents. The parents, if you don't have kids, then your parents will have inheritance rights. And the third in line to be beneficiaries of the inheritance rights, we have your spouse. First, kids, second, the parents, and third will be your spouse, the beneficiary of your assets. Then we have the brothers and sisters. If you don't have kids, if you don't have parents, if you don't have a spouse, then brothers and sisters will be the beneficiaries of your assets. And last, we have the nephews and nieces as part of your family, but I mean, again, if you don't have kids, if you don't have parents, if you have spouse, brothers and sisters, then your nephews and nieces, they will have inheritance rights. So, and the last one, and it is not listed here, it is the government. The government will have some stake on the property if the government will go as a special nephew. So that's how it is written under the Ecuadorian law. When your nieces and your nephews, they're having inheritance rights, also the government will have inheritance rights. But this is the only situation when the government will have inheritance rights. So we went a little bit further, but I would like to go back a little bit. So with our presentation, we go back. Okay, all right. So that mentioned all the beneficiaries of the people who has inheritance rights on your properties or your assets here in Ecuador. Remember, this is only for properties or assets located in Ecuador. If you have any real estate, if you have any bank account, or I don't know, if you have cars overseas, this law doesn't apply. This is only for properties located in Ecuador. It doesn't matter. Well, it is not, there are no difference if you are resident or not, but because of the properties located here, it will be subject to the Ecuadorian law. So we're continuing to the next. We're going to be explaining how your 100% will be split. So this is the second rule that you must consider. And this is very, very, very important for you to know. First, we have here, we have the 50%. Let me see if I can. Okay, we have the 50%, and that 50% by law will go to your kids. And remember, if you don't have kids, then your parents and then spouse. But if you have kids, let's say this is a very common example that we have in our office. So you buy the property and you buy it with a spouse. So we have this case recently where a couple, they purchase a condo. So when you are buying, when you are married, that means that you own 50% of the property with your spouse. So that means that you own only 50% of that condo, that property. Out of that 50% becomes your 100%. And out of that 100%, it is what we have here right now explaining to you. That 100%, 50% will go to your children, and then 25 will go to any of them or all of them in equal parts. So that's very, very important at this point. And we have another lasting 25%. That 25% you can leave it to any person that you want. So by law, first will have to be split that 50% among the people that we mentioned before, like among your brothers, your sisters, your nephews, that you have to respect that 50% that goes to them, because by law, they are the beneficiaries of the assets. So then we will have the, I think we're having some problems with issues with our presentation. So, so we will continue to the next one. Okay, all right. So here, as I was explaining before, you can see very, very clear who are the beneficiaries of your assets. So first, as I mentioned before, you have your children, then you have your parents, then your spouse, then you have brothers and sisters, and then you have nephews and nieces, and lastly, we have the government. So for you to have a great idea in this graphic, it is how it is the ranking of getting inheritance rights in Ecuador, right? So, so we're covering with that. We cover almost everything about wills. Please, if you have any questions, just type them down within the chat. So we're going to be reading them and shortly if we need to clarify those questions. So the second most important document here that we have is the medical POA. But for that, we have invited, we're going to have a guest. This guest is going to be talking to us about his personal experience with years of experience in the insurance business. We have this very, very special guest that he's going to be explaining us what will happen if you don't have a medical POA. So please, if our staff can help us to have Carlos connected. Robina, I know you can hear us. All right, while we're waiting for Carlos to get connected, so I'm going to be explaining in what situation do you need a medical POA. You need a medical POA when you can now make decisions by your own. Medical POA will allow you to nominate a person that will be making decisions on your behalf in case that you are not capable to make those decisions. Years ago, we had a case where this lady, well, we didn't have a case, I just heard about it, where this lady in Guayaquil, she needed to have a surgery right away. And then because of, she didn't have anyone to sign the, because you know that when you're going to get a medical procedure, you always have to sign a release of the doctor will not be legally binding by the results of the medical procedure. So in this case, she didn't have anyone here. So they have to wait. She had to wait for a family member to come to Ecuador. And then after that, you know, in a medical emergency, there's the best is to do things like in a right away, do everything super fast because otherwise I mean, it depends on your for your life. So I'm just curious right now. I can see that Carlos is about to get connected. So we're not talking about it yet. So Romina, if you can help us with the connection. I don't know if I can have my phone. Someone can help me. Okay, all right. All right, let me see. So I have been told that we're working on that right now. So what if we wait for that until the end, and let's continue talking about affidavit for remains. Affidavit for remains, as its word says, I mean, we have meetings with the funeral services here in Ecuador. What they are going to be requesting, if you want to be, if you want to have you want to make a special decision about your remains, they always are going to be asking you for an affidavit. An affidavit will guarantee them that they're respecting what your decision was taken when you were alive. I just want to say something that is very personal here, because as you probably know, some of our friends are very connected right now. Both of my parents, they passed away. And during those times, it was so hard, but they were, I call myself lucky, but they were smart enough to have all their affairs taken care in advance. So when the time came, we just went to the funeral services and they had everything signed. And basically we didn't have to do anything because everything was ready and everything was arranged as they want. That's why we have been promoting, that's one of the reasons we have been promoting this, because I have lived this from my personal experience. And it is always good to save those hard times and uncertainty when your family or your friends come here. So the affidavit for remains will help you to let the people know that you want whether to be cremated or you want to be buried. But at least this document will help you to clarify that. Maybe some people, they might be asking, okay, what if I have a will? I don't need an affidavit of remains because in my will, I will be saying I want to be cremated. So I don't need an affidavit for remains. Well, that's true. If you have if you have made a decision on your will about what's going to be happening with your body once you pass away, then you will not need an affidavit for remains. But there are some cases where you don't need a will because, I mean, you own property through a trust, or you own your real estate property with a company or any other entity. So then you don't need a will because basically you don't have assets here in Ecuador. So, but an affidavit for remains will be covering you about the need of not having a will, but an affidavit of remains, which is a more simple document, will help you to cover this part. So we're going to our next slide, and that's the marriage registration. Marriage registration in Ecuador. For me, when I was preparing this presentation, I didn't know what to say about marriage registration because I mean we have some expats here coming. They come back. They're single, or they don't have a spouse. But what if you have? What if you have? If you come with your spouse here to Ecuador, we always advise to get it registered because let's say you have a bank account, your spouse has a bank account, and then your spouse passes away. So how will you get access to those funds if something happens to your spouse? So then you will have to request, you will have to prove that you were married. And how do you do that? It is that you have to bring your marriage certificate here to it. And how do you do that? It is that you will have to bring it with the apostille. And most of the people here watching us today, they have been through the visa process. And you know how sometimes hard it is to get an apostille. So when the time comes and you need the marriage certificate, if you already haven't registered, you only will have to go to a local office of the civil register and request for a certified copy. And that's it. That's all you have to do. And then you can prove that you are the spouse of the person who passed away, and you can get access to those funds. So that's why it is very, very important to have these documents in Ecuador. So I think we have ready, we're ready with Carlos. So Carlos, please.
Hola Marcos, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Okay, hello. Hey Carlos, how are you? Good to see you.
Very good, thank you. Thank you so much to invite me. Hello with everyone.
Okay, just give me 1 second. We're solving a problem here with the audio.
Okay, let me know and I can start any moment that you like.
Okay, so as I was saying before, we have Carlos from Blue Box. He's going to be telling us about a testimony that he lived in firsthand. So Carlos, please, can you enlighten us with this testimonial, please?
My pleasure, my pleasure. Good afternoon with everyone. Let me introduce a little bit about myself. My name is Carlos Ramirez. I represent to Blue Box Insurance Advisor. Our company works in insurance for almost 10 years. And we have seen several cases in which our clients have had problems for not being properly organized for the day of his death. We know it is a difficult time, but we are sure it's better to prevent and have everything organized correctly. Let me tell you my history. One of our clients, who I will call Brian, hired a rental insurance policy. That is why we meet in his apartment. We made the list of contents that's necessary to elaborate the insurance. Later days, we deliver the insurance to the client and he paid it correctly. But unfortunately, approximately 4 months later, I received a call from the administration of the building. I assumed it was for some theft in the insured department. But unfortunately, what I was notified is the death of our client. I was asked if I am close to the client, if I know him well, and if I could take care of the recognition of the body, because it could not be transferred to the morgue without a previous recognition, you know, Marcos. I notified them that I am his insurance agent, and they told me if I clearly remember his face and if I am his friend. Then they asked me if I have any power attorney to help to the recognition or a close friendship, you know? And my answer, unfortunately, was no. So I could not do the examination. It had been 6 days since he died in his apartment, and we need 2 more days to recognize, because was difficult because anybody know him. Unfortunately, he lived alone in his condo. Imagine all the people in the building trying to get the body out because it was during the recent quarantine. You know, finally, after posting on different websites, we were be able to locate a friend of Brian who helped us to do the body recognition. And then his family members in the state was notified too. But in my history, it's important to consider that not was possible make a quickly recognition of the body. It was difficult for us help to our customer because we doesn't have any power attorney. Unfortunately, the customer lived alone, and was really difficult, Marcos, for us, because we can't help too much if we doesn't have the correct documents, you know? And the body of our customers was 7 days before he moved to the morgue. That's my history, Marcos. That's what I can tell to all the people. It's better prepare all the necessary documents and be all organized correctly.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it's hard. I just can imagine how sometimes how hard it is. I mean, I'm super proud of our clients that they come here and sometimes they're not fluent in Spanish. To navigate the culture, to get to know things and how to get around just to go to the small tienda or to get in the car. So you need a lot of courage to do that. And these type of things, these type of documents, these type of stories that we're sharing here today is to avoid that. You have the tools. You can do it locally with a local attorney. You always need to find a person who will be guiding you to do this. So Carlos, yeah, I think it is. I mean, it is sad, but think at the same time that you had the chance to share this testimonial with us. I just want to continue because I just received a question. The question is that do they need a will? It is, I mean, by default, the law will be telling you what to do. Not everyone needs a will. It is very, very rare the case that a person needs a will. In Ecuador, just to give you an example, like local, how the society and the culture works here in Ecuador. Who needs a will? Will needs a person who owns a small, someone that it is the owner of Megabytes, Supermercados La Favorita. Are the type of people who need a will here. Otherwise, what normally happens is that when you're alive, the family here, they transfer the ownership between their kids. So that's what normally happens. And if you don't have real estate, I mean, you don't need a will. If you only have a bank account, you don't need a will. Then what you will have to do is another document that you will have to get if something happens to you, and I mean, not you, but your peers, they will have to make the document that is called effective possession. Effective possession is like what is called in the US to probate that you are related to this person. And how do you do that? You do with a birth certificate, marriage certificate, well, basically those two documents that proves that you are linked to that person. So that's the only way on how you can prove and how you can make an effective possession here in Ecuador. The problem of not having a will, and I had when I was in law school, I heard about this. When we were in our wills classes and all this civil Ecuadorian civil code, we were taught about a case of a wealthy guy that was living by himself, and this person passed away, and 1 week after that, a woman appeared with a little kid saying that this kid was the son of this person who just passed away. So that person passed away, didn't have a will, didn't have how to protect his family. So this lady, I mean, with the kid, using the kid, they took possession of the property. So those cases are when we advise to get a will. So what do? We always have a meeting with them, and then we make an assessment if they need a will or if they need estate planning, because also there are other options if you own real estate here in Ecuador to make sure that the property goes to the people that you want. All of you at home, you probably know that if you want someone that gets the assets or someone that you don't, according to the Ecuadorian law, that is, according to the Ecuadorian law, to receive those assets, that you don't want that person to receive them. So estate planning, it is very, very important here. But this is not the matter of this conversation today. So we cover today wills, medical POA, affidavit for remains, and marriage registration. With the medical POA, I just want to clarify one thing. The medical POA, it is valid as long as the person is alive. If the person who granted the power of attorney, the medical POA, passes away, that POA, it is canceled right away. So this is something that you have to consider, because you cannot include a medical POA with information about how to handle your financial situation, for example, after something happens to you. So that's very, very important that the POA is only valid as long as the person is alive. The affidavit for remains, it is a simple document that it's a legal document. Nothing is simple in it. It's a legal document. So this legal document must be granted before an Ecuadorian notary. You cannot write a letter saying that I want to grant an affidavit for my remains. That will not be valid. That will not be accepted by the funeral services. And lastly, for the marriage registration, you can get your marriage registered here only after you get your residency visa in Ecuador, and only when you get your cédula. Because for the civil register in Ecuador, they will need to get it registered with a cédula number, not with a passport. So first requirement is to get the temporary residency visa or the permanent for those who qualify, and then getting your merit registered here. So at this point, I don't know if we have any questions, and if you have any other questions. Oh, I'm missing something here, and this is very, very important. I went to a seminar before the pandemic. Well, it was not a seminar, it was a meeting. It was a get together between people that they were concerned about what to do if something happens to them. So for me, what it was interesting about this meeting is that they have this networking support, that network support among them. If something happens to anyone, other person will know what to do. So in the case that Carlos was telling us, that testimonial, I mean, having network support, it is always good for you because that will help you to get things done. And basically that covers all of our presentation today. And please, guys, if you have any questions, you can email us at info@EcuaAssist.com, info@EcuaAssist.com, and we will be happy to clarify you. And also, we're going to be sending this video again. And well, I just want to thanks to all the people who have been involved with this, to all of our crew in Quito, Manta, Bahía de Caracas, Cuenca, and Salinas too. It has been, of course, for us, it has been a very difficult time, but Ecuador is here. Ecuador is its best. Hopefully, we will continue seeing you, and please take care of yourself. Enjoy Ecuador, and hopefully all of you can be around enjoying the Galapagos, you know, like Otavalo, different places here. So that covers everything of today. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a nice afternoon, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.